Picture a person who goes about their life as the most real version of themselves. The type of person almost incapable of being anyone different than who they really are. Each word is a little more natural, each decision more confident. We can't help but be drawn to these people because somehow we recognize they seem a little more whole. If we had to give an honest answer, most of us caught in the middle of life would say we're just too afraid to live life like that. And although it does take some courage to live life as your real self, most of us actually have a much bigger problem than being afraid. We don't even know what makes us unique. We spend our days looking at everyone else, so we never find out if we have the courage needed to be authentic because we don't know who that authentic person really is. Instead, we accidentally try to be someone else. Lately, I've seen the phrase, be yourself, used as a kind of excuse to not be much of anything at all. Permission slip to just exist, float through life. And although most of us do want a life of meaning and of purpose, we end up not living it out because we keep looking for inspiration in the wrong place. You see, being yourself requires that you know yourself. When you know yourself, you don't have to decide which path to go down or how to lead. When you know yourself, you gain permission to be authentic. You gain the freedom to just do. And I want you to be good at doing. My name is David Talley. I'm an entrepreneur that helps people with their money. And although finance is the world I'm most comfortable in, I'm not even dipping my toe in that tonight. Instead, I stand before you as a hillbilly from Appalachian Mountains who, on my own path toward authenticity, discovered a shortcut to wisdom. My hope is that by exploring this together, you leave here a little more able to pursue it. I noticed a few years ago that every wise person I'd ever met lived with more experience. Not that they lived more years, but that they lived with more depth. And the thought occurred to me, I've lived a few years now. There are people my age with wisdom. If the secret to wisdom is living with depth, could I not just catch up, so to speak, by looking at the life I've already lived a little bit deeper? Turns out you absolutely can. And to my surprise, I uncovered that authenticity and wisdom are inseparably linked. My journey with authenticity began long before I could name it. I grew up in a household without a lot of emotional stability. My mother has the soul of an angel, but while she's here on earth, was also given a few disabilities. The type of disabilities that cause mood swings. The type of mood swings a little boy just isn't quite capable of understanding. I remember it beginning around age 3 or 4 when these mood swings would happen. I could not have felt more alone, and so I learned to cope with things on my own. Thankfully, isolation can come with a wonderful gift, the gift of knowing yourself, the gift of independence. Picture a Clint Eastwood character, cowboy, all alone, headed west. That guy knows himself. He may not say it like that, but he knows what's going on inside. He chooses what to think and what to do. Over time, his isolation has given him independence. And the reason this type of character gets romanticized is that independence equals freedom, which is exactly what I gained. And although I definitely wouldn't have volunteered myself for the isolation I felt years later, I am certainly thankful for it. But now I'd like you to take a look at your own story. Pick a chapter you don't like. First one that comes to mind is fine. It doesn't have to be the worst thing that ever happened to you. Just be specific enough to label it. Once you have it, set it aside. We'll come back to it again in a minute. First, let's jump forward to young adult me. Like a lot of young men, I found my life purpose for a time in sports. My sport of choice was golf, and although I never quite played professionally, I believed I would someday, and I was on the right track. I remember my dad picking me up, dropping me off at the course before sunrise almost, and picking me up well after sunset. Several years I played all 365 days. There was a day I remember so clearly, one of my college practices, hit a shot from about 200 yards away to only 10 inches from the cup. Excited. Naturally, I grabbed my putter, walked up to the ball, and missed from less than a foot away. My hands flinched. Next hole happened again from only a few inches. I didn't think of it too much in the moment, but the next day it happened again, and soon I just couldn't make a short putt. Now, the thing about golf is that every strike of the ball counts the same, and although it should be so easy to make a putt from a few inches, something had triggered in my brain that just wouldn't let my hands do what they had been trained to do. Over the next few years, I practiced several 100,000 8-inch putts, hundreds every single day, but when I got into competition, my hands betrayed me. Unfortunately, I never really did get over my fear of short putts. And so it was at the time my whole life purpose died in the most embarrassing of ways. Struggle like this can break a man, but it can also give you something. What I found is that sometimes from that type of struggle, a fascinating trait is born: resilience. How many of you would agree that life has a way of eventually kicking you in the face? Whether you call it fate, God, or something else, that's just the way life works. Eventually, we all get a dose. But here's the fascinating thing about resilience. Most people think you gain it in the moment you face rough times. You stare the problem in the eye and you don't blink. That's not how I gained it. In fact, this is one of my favorite things about learning to be authentic. Remember when I asked you to think of a chapter in your story that you didn't like? Pick that back up. Picture it as clearly as you can. You still have the chance to gain resilience from it. If you can look into your past and picture a story with enough courage to accept it, resilience doesn't have to come in the moment. Resilience is just as available years later. Somehow, we know these quotes to be true, but they tell us a truth about how to live many of us don't want to admit. You have to figure it out on your own. When I was young and alone, I would pray every night for wisdom. Turns out, I should have been praying for courage to accept myself, my story. I got the equation backwards. What I didn't realize at the time is such a simple idea. Accepting your experiences is a shortcut to wisdom. Wisdom doesn't give you courage. Knowing yourself doesn't give you courage. It's the other way around. Accepting your experiences is the thing that brings wisdom into existence. Think through your own story again and pick out moments that felt a little bit off, but that you skimmed right on by because it was uncomfortable to accept them. These are a well of opportunity. If you can accept the experiences you've already had, you don't have to live another decade to gain a decade's worth of wisdom. You already have it right there. You just need the courage to take a hard look. I've heard the analogy to view who you are as a mosaic. Many small moments make up the bigger picture. The little cracks you have are what make you unique. Each of us have our own types of cracks and strengths that can come from them. And if you can pick out just one crack and accept it that you haven't accepted before, you have the ability to bring a little wisdom into this world. And you can repeat that 1,000 times over with the life you've already lived. Ironically, accepting your story also gives you the opportunity to be authentic. Without that, I hate to break it to you, you're only ever trying to be someone else. Have the courage to accept your story. Take a shortcut to wisdom. Give your real self a chance. Thank you.